Welcome to Salute and Biohacking podcast. My name is Vanessa Bertinotti and my mission is to build a tribe that shares my same passion for health optimization and biohacking by bringing to the table experts and people who inspire me. All the information contained in this podcast is purely informative and does not replace medical or therapeutic consultancy. On this episode, I'm super excited to welcome Ulrich Dempfle. Ulrich is the co-founder and CEO of Carol Bike, a revolutionary exercise bike designed around reduced extraction high-intensity interval training. With a background in mechanical engineering and healthcare innovation, Dempfle has worked closely with the leading exercise researcher to develop Carol, the world's first AI-powered REHIT bike. His mission is to provide maximum fitness benefit in minimal time, addressing the common barriers people face with traditional exercise routine, such as lack of time and motivation. Under his leadership, Carol has gained attention from both mainstream fitness enthusiasts and the biohacking community for its data-driven, science-backed approach to exercise. For my community, carolbike.com is offering a discount code. Just head on carolbike.com and use the code SALUTE to get $100 off in USA and Canada, or £100 off in UK and RAW countries. You find the link and the coupon code in the show notes of this episode. Ulrich, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm really thrilled to have you here, and thanks for joining us today. You've had a diverse background in mechanical engineering and healthcare. Can you walk us through your professional journey that led to the creation of Carol Bike?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course I can. So as life is, it's a bit a meandering path. I think in my youth, I always dreamt about either designing cars or airplanes. And that led me to study mechanical engineering and business administration. And at some point, I realized nobody actually designs a whole car or designs a whole airplane. There's thousands of engineers, and you do a tiny portion of it, and that's how it works. And so I started working actually in management consultancy, and then worked initially with, as a German, as you'd expect, the big German car manufacturers. And that was the beginning of my career. But then for family reasons, I wanted to relocate to London, and there changed industry, because I was always very focused on how to make processes more efficient and effective. And instead of automotive industry, I applied that in healthcare. And I worked actually for many, many years with hospitals or payers in the healthcare system to make patient care better and more cost effective. One big lever there is clearly prevention. And with my team, we did very advanced stuff. We used AI and machine learning tools to identify which patients would benefit most from which interventions. And that was good stuff, but it missed one like really critical point. And that is that for most of the patients we worked with, so people with heart conditions or diabetes or so, exercise, from part, like you didn't need any AI to identify that exercise was actually one of the most powerful and the most important intervention. And the evidence for that is so clear and so strong. Yet the sad truth is that hardly anybody does enough exercise. And it's even if a doctor prescribes to a patient that he or she should do a certain amount of exercise, most people just don't. It's very hard to understand why that is. And there's like scientific survey after scientific survey shows that the main perceived barrier is lack of time. So if you ask people why they don't exercise, it's lack of time. And in the scientific community, there's a debate about that, whether this is real or just an excuse. And there are two camps. Yeah, there's one camp that says, "Oh, it's just an excuse," and what we really have to do is we have to make exercise fun or pleasant. And the other camp is saying, "No, this is a valid reason. We have trillion-dollar companies like Meta, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, or Netflix, or so." And the whole attention economy, where like these massively successful companies compete for our time,
Yeah.
and all sorts of things get crowded out. Like we sleep, I think, 2 hours less than some 60 years ago per night. So, and we're very firmly in that camp. So we believe people when they say they don't have enough time to exercise. And so we think there's a really compelling case for time efficient exercise. And now, how did we get to this? This was coincidence, really. So in 2012, there was a BBC Science program, The Truth About Exercise, with the late Michael Mosley, where they showcased the science of REHIT, of reduced exertion, high intensity interval training, and how it was so short and so easy, even that you may not sweat, and delivers these amazing health benefits in terms of fitness and metabolic health. And I saw that, and for me, it was completely love at first sight. And I wanted to do that. And so the very next day, I went to a fitness equipment store, got myself an exercise bike that I thought was suitable for that type of workout. And I paid close attention to the program. So I thought I made a good choice. But once I had it at home, it was just nothing like how they've portrayed it on the BBC. And because it was like I was sweating loads, it was really difficult. It didn't feel easy at all, but just felt like a really hard workout.
Okay.
And so instead of just giving up, we actually called the scientists on the program. So that was Professor Jamie Timmons and Dr. Niels Vollard, and literally asked, what are we doing wrong? And the very first thing they said was, well, you need a special bike. And they invited us to their lab and showed us their equipment. And they had, very special research equipment. It's like a bike then costs $10,000, $15,000. But the main thing is it was operated by a second person. So you had a lab technician who assessed the subject, like what resistance do you need, and coached you through the workout and applied the resistance at the right time very rapidly. And so under their guidance, yes, it was everything they've described it and how they've portrayed it. It was just not suitable for a mainstream audience at all, because who has a $10,000 research bike and a lab technician? That just doesn't work. And so then we thought, well, if it doesn't exist, why don't we just try to build such a bike that takes the science and the research out of the lab and makes it available to effectively a mass market audience. And that's kind of where it comes full circle. So I'm not building or designing cars and airplanes, but I'm designing a bike, and it's very interesting, and I actually get involved in all aspects to it. So kind of my childhood dream of building something has actually come pretty much turned out how I wanted it.
So it was not a coincidence. It was just your lecture of the reality and connecting the dots with your passion, actually, right?
Maybe it was fate. Maybe there was a bit of fate in there.
And for those who may not be familiar, how would you describe Carol Bike in its simplest form? What set it apart from traditional exercise bike, and how does it revolutionize the way people approach cardiovascular fitness?
Yeah. So Carol Bike is well, we think the smartest, definitely the most efficient exercise bike. It's been scientifically proven to give you double the health and fitness benefits in 90% less time compared to
Wow.
regular cardio. The simple kind of AI personalized workouts are suitable for any age and fitness level. Workouts are extremely short, so it can be done in as little as 5 minutes, and you only have to work hard for two 20-second sprints. So
Okay.
it's short, effective, and very simple. It's fully automated. Like basically, the machine does everything for you, coaches you through the workout, and all you have to do is push hard when you're told to, and that makes it, in our view, a sustainable habit, a sustainable routine to cover that really foundational part of cardiorespiratory exercise and cardiorespiratory fitness.
And what is VO2 max and what determines it? So I think it's a crucial
Yeah,
part of the technology.
absolutely. So what we're aiming, kind of one of the two headline benefits. So it has a long list of benefits, actually, because exercise is just so beneficial. And this is a
Yeah.
very efficient and effective form of exercise. But the two headline benefits is one, about improving your cardiorespiratory fitness, and on the other hand, improving metabolic health. And cardiorespiratory fitness is measured in VO2 max.
Yeah.
So that's your ability to burn oxygen, to metabolize oxygen during exercise. And VO2 max is really the most important. So I'm not even going to qualify that. Is the most important health marker. It is the strongest predictor for life expectancy. And it's not only the strongest; it's the strongest by some margin. Yeah. And to illustrate that, and there's I mean, very, very, very robust scientific studies on that with tens of thousands of subjects. And one way to illustrate that is, so low cardiorespiratory fitness causes more avoidable deaths than smoking, diabetes, and obesity combined. So those are big things, and it causes more avoidable deaths than those three combined. And when we think about the motivation why we exercise, I think many people think of exercise as a way to maybe lose weight or manage weight, but it's really much, much more than that. And to be honest, for weight management, it's not even the key thing. The nutrition is the main thing. But what you gain is much more in terms of extended lifespan, expanded health span, and quality of life, because you just have so much more energy to enjoy life. So VO2 max, cardiorespiratory fitness is really one of the very main things to look after if you care for yourself. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And after going through 40 prototypes before launching Carol Bike, what were some of the most significant iteration you made to ensure the bike was scientifically robust and user friendly? How did you know when the product was ready, actually?
Yes. Yes. So as I said earlier, this journey started in 2012 with seeing what was done in the lab by the researchers. How did they create these amazing health and fitness benefits? So the concept, in a way, was quite clear early on. We just wanted basically everything that's done in the lab to be available for a normal consumer at a reasonable price in the comfort of their own home. So we needed to have a bike that can apply kind of a personalized resistance at the right time instantly. It needed to be safe and simple. And we couldn't have like the coach or the lab technician had to be built into the software and the electronics. So conceptually, we were quite early on clear on what we wanted it to do. And then going through 40 prototypes is more a reflection of getting it to work and getting it, like finding the right manufacturers, getting it to work not once but very reliable, having it so robust that it's not only good for home use, but in commercial facilities where the bikes get 5,000, 6,000 and more rides per year. It's also robust and just built to last. And so this was more about perfect execution and kind of making sure we get a product that is like of the highest quality, and will last a long time, rather than many iterations and that conceptually.
Okay.
And this is the hardware side.
Mm-hmm.
On the software side, there were more. We were literally also building. So we can create personalized, optimized workouts for any age and fitness level, because we have by far the largest REHIT database in the world. So we have over 30,000 riders now. We've got millions of rides. That is like several orders of magnitude more than our academic partners have when they run trials, because like a clinical trial, an academic trial would have 20, 30, 40, 50 participants, and it runs for 8 weeks and maybe 3 times. So there are hundreds of rides, maybe sometimes thousands. We have millions. And so that allows us to just do different things that others can't do. And this was obviously an iteration. So we had to start with simpler algorithms in the beginning to create data.
Yeah.
But eventually we have now so much data that we can run very advanced AI models over that data to determine what an optimal workout looks like. And not just for somebody generically, but for somebody exactly like you. And then we can replace the lab technician in the beginning to set a very good starting resistance. And as you get fitter and stronger, we can adjust the workout, and we continuously adjust to your fitness levels so that it remains a very, very efficient, very effective workout every single time.
Brilliant, brilliant. And you've spoken about the need to make fitness both efficient and accessible. Could you elaborate on the core mission behind the Carol Bike and how it aims to address common barriers like time
Yeah.
constraint and consistency that many people face when it comes to fitness, as you said before?
Yes. So, one statistic that we quote quite often is just how few people, or how many people don't do enough cardio exercise. So the recommended amount of cardio exercise per week is 2.5 hours, 150 minutes. In the US, which is our main market, even though we're based in London, but I don't expect this so much different in Europe. Only 5% of the population, 5% of the population gets that recommended amount of exercise. And yes, lack of time is the main perceived, and we believe, real barrier for that. And so our response to that is just to provide a very, very short and very efficient workout. And that is exactly what REHIT offers. So a REHIT workout can be done in as little as 5 minutes, and it will not take longer than 8 minutes, 40 seconds. It consists of up to 2-minute gentle warm-up, then a first sprint for 20 seconds, then a 3-minute recovery, or up to 3-minute recovery, a second sprint for 20 seconds, and then 3-minute cool down. So it's 5 to 8 minutes. And you only need to do this 2 to 3 times per week. And so that, and you the bike is affordable enough that most people can have, or many people can have it in their home. And that just makes it very, very accessible. And for us, it's also very important that it's something you can make a habit of or a routine. So I will do. I'm probably the person I must hold the world record for most REHIT rides.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody who's done more than me. I must be at like 1,300 or maybe 1,400 by now. And I just do it every other day, straight after I get up. As the bike is on the way from my bed to the bathroom, so it's hard to miss. And because it is so short, I can fit it in whatever the day is like, whether I have a lot of work or whether I have to go through some social thing. Also, I will always have those 5 minutes in the morning to get a very, very effective and efficient cardio workout in. And that makes it so powerful, because this is something, how should I say, it's almost a bit sad about exercise. Exercise is in many ways comparable, or in some ways comparable to a diet. So if you were to go on a crash diet, you will lose quite quickly quite a lot of weight. But the overwhelming majority of people with who have difficulties with their weight put that weight on just as fast as they've lost it after they finish the diet.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: exercise works just in the same way. So that you can, with effective exercise, gain a lot of fitness really quite fast. But if you stop, the detraining effect is as fast, if not faster, than the training effect. So therefore, if you want to have these long-term benefits in terms of extended lifespan, health span, you really have to have something that you can do, well, not every day, but every other day, no matter what. Whether the sun shines or it rains, you need to be able to have something that you can do. Or even as a backup. So I know plenty of our customers also, like many other types of sports and activities, sometimes they, for example, like I love hiking outdoors. Wonderful. I really, this is one of the great joys in my life. I love hiking. But I don't have everyday time to hike. So yes, in summer, if I have time to go hiking, then that's a great way also to be active. But that's not, I can't do that every day. Whereas the Carol bike and REHIT, I could do every day, and I do it every other day. So that's really important to us.
Brilliant. And you have like a passion in strength training, right? Is also another passion of yours.
Yes,
How
that's
has
right.
your personal fitness journey shaped your approach to designing Carol, and how do you hope it will inspire others to reach their own goals?
Yeah. So I must say, when I obviously as a younger person, as a teenager, I did sports as many people do to compete. Yeah, it was fun and competition, play in a team. But then with the busy job and children, I think in my early 30s, I've neglected that also. Yeah, I have three kids, and had always, busy jobs. And then it does become easy to slip out of an exercise routine. And so there was a time when also myself, I struggled. That's why when I saw the documentary about REHIT, I thought, brilliant, that must be it. So in some ways, I built the bike also for myself. And then what the bike has helped me is, one, to get really back into great shape from a cardio perspective. And so in terms of how much you can gain, like the scientific data shows very clearly, this is many studies and our own data, that in a period of 8 weeks, with only 3 times a week using the bike for a very short moment, so maybe 20 minutes per week, in 8 weeks, you can improve your VO2 max by 12%. That's the average improvement. And that's very substantial in itself. So that's kind of as we age, per decade of aging, we lose about 10% of VO2 max per decade. So in only 8 weeks, with really very little time, you can more than offset 10 years of age-related
Wow.
fitness loss.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you do it longer, so the studies get less because most studies are 6, 8, 10 weeks, but there are studies that are up to 20 weeks that showed like a 20% improvement in VO2 max. And our data shows this goes further. My personal journey was, and I've just done a VO2 max test on Tuesday, like 3 days ago.
Okay.
Since I've started using the bike, my cardio fitness, my VO2 max went up by over 50%.
Wow.
And I'm now comfortably in the high band for my age. I do a little bit other things, but the main thing is really REHIT on Carol.
Mm-hmm.
And having kind of this greater fitness level, I felt was like, I don't know, the improving the fitness levels also opened up other things then that I enjoyed more and more. And it's one pillar of kind of what exercise one should do, and the other big pillars is resistance training and mobility stability work. And so I work out every day, maybe in total 4 or 5 hours per week. 4 hours, 5 hours, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cardio is very, very little. It's like half an hour. The rest of the time, so I do every other morning then a short strength training routine with like 5, 6 big compound movements. And then on the weekends, and this is really a more kind of a social and family thing, I go with my son to the gym, and there we do 2-3 hours sessions, kind of powerlifting and trying to improve our deadlifts and squats and so on. And I'm quite so there are. I'm sure, and I know, and we partner with brilliant companies who also make resistance training
Mm-hmm.
much more efficient and effective. So there are cleverer ways to do this. I know this,
Mm-hmm.
but here this is a social thing. This is like good bonding time with my 15-year-old son, and we just enjoy that. So that's another passion for us now.
Awesome. And Carol Bike uses, as you said, reduced exertion, high intensity interval training, reheat, you said, to provide maximum health benefit in minimal time. What were some of the scientific breakthrough that led you to reheat, and how does it differ from traditional heat in terms of effectiveness and user experience? Maybe this is the main difference. It's
Yeah.
important to.
So first, I should really say we're leveraging and we're working with some of the leading scientists in this field, and we're building on their work. And we're very grateful for their research. And I think other way around, they're also grateful that we are kind of translating that into
Reality.
something that
Yeah.
a broad audience can do. So this is a partnership, really. Most people will be familiar with HIT, high intensity interval training. And HIT has been around for a long time and is without doubt very effective. But it is not all that short. So once you do 8, 10 intervals of a minute, 2 minutes, plus the rest periods, or you do like a very popular protocol is 4 times 4 minutes at high intervals with 3-minute breaks or lower intensity periods in between, you're quickly like 20, 30 minutes busy with the workout itself.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that the rate of perceived exertion is very high. And so many people find it quite difficult to do. And so borne out by this, it's not all that time effective and time efficient yet, and it's perceived as very hard. Like a subgroup of the exercise science community basically went on a quest to see what is the minimum effective dose of exercise. And yeah, that seems to have been quite well established now, that 2 20-second sprints at maximum intensity. So we're not just talking high intensity, but really maximum intensity, that those 2 sprints are enough to create a training stimulus that is as strong and as effective as a 45 to 60-minute run or jog. And so that is in itself kind of, I think, a very compelling and surprising finding. What the latest research data seems to suggest is, even if you did more sprints or longer sprints, you don't seem to get additional benefits. And usually in exercise, it's if you do more and if you do longer and if you do harder, you gain more. Like more is more in exercise usually.
Mm-hmm.
Now with REHIT, that doesn't seem to hold. And it's not only that you don't get more, you seem to get less benefits. So if you don't do 2 sprints, but you did 3, 4, 5 sprints, you seem to get less benefits. And that's really hard to understand. And the best explanation that we have, that our scientific partners have, is that if you know you have to do, let's say, 5, 6 sprints and they're 30, 40 seconds long, you pace yourself.
Yeah.
So you don't go all out, you don't push to your limit, but you hold back so that you can somehow get through those sprints. And here's the thing, REHIT doesn't work because you work particularly long. No, REHIT only works because you momentarily go really to max and push to your limits. And there's, you trigger just a different biological, a different adaptation pathway compared to longer exercise. And if you want, I can quickly talk through
Yeah.
how what kind of how what our understanding is of how this works.
Yeah.
And this is, so in a REHIT sprint, we create momentarily an emergency situation. So the energy demand in your legs, in your thighs, goes up very dramatically by around a factor of 100 compared to rest.
Okay.
So it is a very severe disturbance of homeostasis, of your balanced state. And your body interprets that as, oh, well, we either need to get ready to run for our life or fight for our life, and it will prepare you for that demand. And it does so, and it has to do so by tapping into the fastest acting energy systems that you have. So your aerobic energy system is way too slow for this. And so the fastest acting system is the phosphocreatine system that literally switches on instantly, but it only lasts for 10 seconds. Yeah? So we, in those 20-second sprints, we very quickly deplete the phosphocreatine system. And then the next fastest energy system is glycogen. So glycogen is a storage form of sugar. It's in your liver and in your muscles. And because we have this severe spike in energy demand, your body mobilizes really an enormous amount of glycogen stored in your thighs, about 25 to 30%. Now, in terms of energy or calories, this is a huge amount of energy that could sustain a much longer effort. And in those 2 20-second sprints, we actually we use only very little of the glycogen. But the amazing thing is that the training stimulus, the adaptation pathway, gets triggered already just by the mobilization of the glycogen. And the explanation is that bound to the glycogen, is is a molecule called AMP that gets then released with the glycogen and activated to AMPK,
Yeah.
which then triggers downstream another signaling molecule called PGC1 alpha, which is your body's master regulator for mitochondrial biogenesis. So this is a very, very strong signal to your body that it has to build more and develop more and larger mitochondria, which are the powerhouses in your cell, so that you're able to better metabolize and burn oxygen. And yeah, that is basically, if you want, you could call it a hack,
Mhm.
that just by kind of inducing this very temporary, momentary spike in energy demand, you can trigger this and saturate this adaptation pathway. And if you did more sprints, yeah, you would burn more of the glycogen that was mobilized, but you flip the switch already, and now you'd be just pressing it harder, but the light is already on.
Yeah.
So therefore, doing more or longer sprints just isn't necessary, and if you hold back, then it's even counterproductive.
Mhm.
So that's a very, yeah, it's really intriguing. And in terms of kind of understanding how can it be as effective as a 45-minute run, it's maybe also important to understand that the 45 to 60 minutes run, one of the endpoints there is also PGC1 alpha. It just gets triggered and activated through a different pathway. It's called the calcium channel.
Mhm.
A molecule called CAMK gets activated that then triggers PGC1 alpha and PGC1 alpha activation. But that pathway,
Mhm.
the calcium channel pathway, requires 45 to 60 minutes of moderate intensity work, so continuous muscle contractions to activate it.
Mhm.
Whereas the AMPK pathway, we can activate literally within seconds. And
Mhm.
that's what makes REHIT certainly the most efficient way to improve your VO2 max.
Mhm.
Clearly, there's other effective ways, but in terms of the benefits you get for the effort and the time you invest, uh, there's no doubt for me that this is the most efficient way to do it.
It's fascinating. Thanks for the explanation. I think it makes really sense, and it's important to understand how those pathways work. So, Carol offer personalized workout experience, adjusting to user fitness level, as you said, using AI. What were the biggest challenges in building an algorithm that adapts to each individual? So, you
Yeah.
said that you have a lot of data, and so.
So I would almost say that, yes, the biggest kind of barrier, and we had to also iterate towards that and can make our algorithms more advanced because of the data. So in the very beginning, we had more heuristic algorithms, but now we have so much data that we can really run kind of reinforcement learning algorithms over those that yeah, deliver optimal results.
Mhm.
And just to maybe we can briefly talk about like what are we actually looking at.
Yeah.
So we look at a user's performance during the sprints.
Mhm.
So if you do these maximum intensity sprints, you will reach your peak power after 3-4 seconds into the sprint, and you will only be able to hold it for a fraction of a second. If you could hold it for longer, it wasn't your peak power.
Yeah.
So if you've really reached your peak, you will reach that early on in the sprint, and then you fatigue throughout the sprint. And that level of fatigue, how that curve, that power curve looks like, because we have so much data, we know what optimal looks like.
Mhm.
And yeah, not just for a generic person, but really for a person just like you. And then we can continue to adjust the resistance, like first until we find your optimum. But then also, as you get fitter and stronger, we can continue adjusting it. And even, or if you had to take a break from training, ease off so that every workout is personalized and optimal and as efficient as possible, really. And it allows us also to make this a workout that works for a 30-year-old CrossFit athlete as well as for somebody, of much older age. So my mother, she's 81. She has some mobility issues, so she can't walk that well anymore, but she can use a bike and she can use the Carol bike. And she uses that very religiously every other day to keep her cardio fitness in the best shape possible. And that's yeah, no, I couldn't be happier about that.
Yeah, it's awesome when you can help family around getting older. So, yeah, I can understand the feeling. And how do you see AI evolving to make fitness even more personalized? Do
Yeah.
you think there will be big changes in the next years?
Yes, and the big changes on their way, and it's really hard to predict because sometimes we're all surprised by how fast things move, and yes, so personalized healthcare and personalized overall like fitness protocols like nutritional supplementation treatments that seems to be progressing at breakneck speed, and it's really exciting to see what's possible there. In terms of in our area, in our small subsection of that industry, I think one thing is just leveraging more data as well, and so on the data from on the bike, off the bike, to give like the best personalization possible and make it as easy and well tolerated and motivating as possible. That's certainly something that I see coming. And then also the same principles being applied not just to cardio, but to other modalities. So if we've spoken earlier about strength training. There are some companies that do that already. I would hope that more of that also comes to home users. So we know some very expensive pieces of kit that do a brilliant job at that, but possibly it would be nice to see more of that also available for people to use in the comfort of their home.
And you've mentioned that direct user feedback has played a key role in the bike design. Can you share some example of how customer insight have influenced recent updates or new features, and how critical is the feedback for shaping the future of Carol?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's many aspects. We have one thing is, for example, we have a growing library of workouts. On Carol bike, you can't only do REHIT. In fact, it's a very versatile bike. We have at the moment 22 workouts within our app and our inclusion criteria. So, and quite often this is because customers ask like, oh, can we have this? And we're happy to include things on our bike if it's got good scientific data, if it's effective, and ideally it's short. So those are kind of the criteria for our workouts. And then because our bike is not a closed system, you can have many other third-party apps running on it as well. So if you want Swift or Peloton or so, you can. So you're not just limited to our bike. So it's a very versatile product, and basically new functionality is often inspired. And so there our users are our best development engineers. And sometimes it's also kind of really a concerted effort to collect user data and collect user feedback to make the REHIT workouts as easy as possible. So two 20-second sprints. That's the workout that has really most scientific research behind it, has the best data behind it. We know it's most efficient, very effective, and it's our key recommendation. That's, if you can do it, perfect. Do it 3 times a week, and you've got your cardio covered. Now, a 20-second sprint, the first 10 seconds, they feel quite all right. Then second 10 to 15 feel harder. And then second 15 to 20 feel quite hard. And so your heart rate will shoot up, you will breathe heavily, and it definitely feels like a workout. Yeah. What we have found is, and we're actually very happy with that, this is, again, something that I think our scientific partners would just struggle to collect the data on, is that a REHIT variant with 3 15-second sprints versus 2 20-second sprints. So even though the overall sprint volume is higher, it's 45 seconds versus 40 seconds, creates the same physiological stress, or seems to create the same physiological stress. So peak heart rate is at the same level. So that's a good sign in terms of effectiveness. But the perception, like we call it effective response, seems to be better than 2 20-seconds. So if we ask users, and we do that as a default, after the sprints, how do you feel? And will you be able to do this again? Can you do this regularly? We get significantly better scores on a 3 times 15-second sprint. So I still do 220 because it's the shortest and it's got great data, and I tolerate it very well. But really, the number one thing for any exercise is adherence. Yeah. So you need to do something that you can do. Yeah. And so for some of our users, where 2 20-second sprints feel like a little bit too hard, 3 15-second sprints seem to be easier and better tolerated, still creating the same physiological stress and therefore presumably same health and fitness benefits. And so that's for example, like this was an experiment that we did, and we were really very happy with the data, and then introduced it for our riders as an alternative to it's slightly longer, slightly more sprinting. But if it feels better and it's something easier to do, by all means, that's a great choice to also do.
Great. I was thinking, what is the age of the oldest user you have? Do you know that?
Yes, so I've not specifically checked, but we have users like in their early 80s. I think 83, 84. I would have to check, but so I can tell you, my mom and my dad, they're 82 and 81, 81 and 82. They use it very regularly, and it helps them very much to stay in great shape from a cardio perspective. And so that's wonderful. And on the lower end, there's no minimum age per se. You just have to be tall enough to fit on the bike. So that's like 145 or so is a good height to start, or so. 150 is even better. But so we have users as young as 11, 12 years, and they're also welcome to use the bike with adult supervision, of course. But it's, as long as you fit on the bike, it's an exercise you can do.
Are your children using it or not?
So yes. My older two, the youngest one hasn't started yet. The older two do. Very happy about that as well.
And Carol Bike has gained popularity in the biohacking community, actually, with endorsement from prominent figure like Dave Asprey. I remember really long time ago, I saw your bike with in a podcast interview with him. Yeah. How do you balance certain like catering such an audience while ensuring the product remain accessible to more mainstream fitness enthusiasts? I think there are two different targets. Biohacker maybe are looking for different things than
Yeah.
fitness enthusiasts. What is your perception?
I mean, if I wish I had like a perfect answer for that. And so it is very clear that our product involves quite a lot of education, and
Mhm.
we have to overcome quite a lot of like conventional wisdoms and
Mhm.
long held beliefs
Yeah.
about exercise. And that is, yeah, we are on a mission there. We're chipping away at it, but really conquering the mainstream, we still have to work a bit more.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of who's actually using the bike,
Mhm.
um, it is actually a very wide mix. So we have from really top athletes, elite athletes, to people who've not worked out in a long time with a very sedentary lifestyle.
Mhm.
We have definitely many people are exercise enthusiasts, so people who do already a good amount of exercise, but they want kind of the efficiency and this really strong training stimulus to add
Mhm.
into their routine, or to free up more time for the things they love. To if your passion is tennis or golf or skiing or so, that you use the Carol bike to kind of get a really good level of fitness, but then you can practice your swing or your stroke, or just have more time for the things you enjoy, rather than spending hours on a treadmill.
Mhm.
So it's a vast mix. Biohackers are one of the groups, but it's not the only group. So there's really I'm always surprised by how diverse our user base is.
Mhm.
I think one thing that most users have is that they have specific goals, that they want to achieve something with the exercise, rather than just as a form of entertainment or so. It's people who have specific health and fitness goals that they want to achieve, because that's what we offer. We offer results in minimum time,
Mhm.
and so then it's a good match.
And thank you. And you've hinted at expanding Carol, offering beyond cardio workouts, possibly introducing strength training, as you mentioned before. Could you share more about what the future holds for Carol and how you envision technology transforming not just cardio, but the entire fitness landscape? You
Yeah,
said
yeah.
that maybe someone else should focus on strength training and Carol will work on cardio, but maybe not.
So we are exploring that. I don't have specific, like concrete things that I could
Okay.
share here, but
It's still a secret, I mean, I think.
very clearly, no, this is something we'd love to do, and that we're actively
Okay.
exploring, because very clearly in strength training, there's also approaches that are more efficient than others. So
Mm,
if you have a workout where you work, for example, at maximum load throughout each rep of each set,
yeah.
really to failure. If you achieve that, then you will be able to dramatically shorten the time you need to be lifting weights, because you have there's also like a very strong trade-off between quality and quantity.
Hmm.
And with technology, with AI, it is possible to make that shorter. So,
Hmm.
and we would obviously love to bring that to users and enable them to do that in the comfort of their own home. I can't announce a product yet. Hopefully, one day I will be able to.
Great. And with Carol collecting performance data on how users interact with the bike, what surprising or interesting trends have you noticed in terms of how people engage with high intensity training? How do these insights drive future innovation? You just explain one of the things that
Mm.
surprise you, but maybe you have other insight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So One thing that I had mentioned already was that in terms of how people perceive the
Yeah.
workout and the affective response, that even if you sprint overall longer, that if the individual sprint intervals are a bit shorter, that can, it appears like substantial, make a substantial difference in how it feels.
Yeah.
And so that's something we're very happy that we found, because we really, adherence is the number one thing we want to encourage. And so that's it. And then the other thing is, as our data grows, we're just able to also improve our algorithms, run more sophisticated models over it, and just make it better. And they're like optimizing further what we've got. So those are some of the aspects where more data just allows us to do more, and this will only continue to grow.
Excellent. And one of the biggest struggle for many is building and maintaining fitness, as you said, as a habit. How does Carol Bike integrate habit forming technique, and what strategy have you seen work the best for users trying to make exercise a consistent part of their life? So you
So
already answered a part of the question, but maybe you can go
yeah,
deep.
yeah. I and surely there are different people with different preferences, and yes, if somebody is totally motivated by celebrity instructors, great soundtracks, a sense of online community, then maybe a Peloton is right for you. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If you're motivated by getting real results and optimal results very, very quickly, then that's something that we can offer. And in terms of habit, I can certainly speak for myself. I try to, I find every decision costs energy, and I have only this much decision making energy and decision making capacity in a day. So if I can automate a decision and perform certain things on autopilot,
Yeah.
that makes life easier. So I don't think in the morning whether I brush my teeth or whether I have a shower or whether I shave. I just do those things. I don't have to negotiate with myself.
Yeah.
And with, well, actually, all my morning exercise routine, be it kind of Carol every other day or in between, like a brief full body strength exercise. I run through the same routine every day and just go on autopilot, and therefore take away the need for consideration, for decision. No, because this is what I do. This is part of my morning routine, and I think it becomes so much easier then to stick to it and kind of have a really long lasting healthy habit.
Yeah, because some people say that the flexibility is also a goal, not to have always the same
Mhm.
protocol. But I think that if you like have cycle, if you cycle your protocol
Yeah,
and
yeah.
becomes like a routine, it makes perfect sense.
And so, as I said earlier, we do recognize that different people tick differently. Or for example, different members of the same household might have very different expectations towards an exercise bike and what it should do. And we understand that most people will have one bike at home, not two or three. So the bike is very versatile because it has our workout library, and obviously it can be used like a normal exercise bike, and it's compatible with a wide range of apps like Peloton Digital, Swift, KinoMap, Ruby, all the cycling apps, and of course all the streaming apps like YouTube, Disney Plus, Netflix, and so on. So it's a very versatile bike. I think more versatile than most others. For me to build a routine, what really helps is to go on autopilot and
Yeah.
just establish something and then just run with it.
And as you said before, you work with leading exercise researchers to develop Carol. Can you talk about some of the key partnerships or collaboration that have been instrumental in the bike's development and scientific credibility?
Yeah. So the key partners we work with and have been working with for some years now. So in the UK is Dr. Vollert and Dr. Metcalf. They're the original. They're like 2012 paper, 2011 paper on REHIT, basically established that, and they're doing research with Carol Bike. Others, probably the how do you say, most prolific and most well-published researcher in this whole field is Professor Gibala at McMaster's University in Canada. He's also written an excellent book, The 1 Minute Workout, that I think has been very popular. So his lab works with our bikes, and Professor Lance Dalek at Western University in Colorado is another key partner. And so there's twofold. Sometimes we encourage some research, also sponsor some research, and other times they just use our bike for their research because it's easier. Like then they don't need a lab technician next to each subject, and it's just easier to perform their research because it's user friendly and easy to use.
And your main market is still the US, or?
Yes, that is. So I'm based in London. I'm from Germany. It happens to be the US. Yes. I have some thoughts why that is. One thing might be because just the idea of having a home gym is maybe more common, and like space is often a consideration, and houses in the US are often a bit bigger than in Europe, so that makes it easier for people there. But the bike is actually like it has a fairly modest footprint. You don't need much space to place it. I think it's if you have like it's 120 times 60 or so the footprint, so it fits actually in quite. If you have a little space, you will be able to fit a bike, and we try to make it also pretty enough that you don't have to hide it in the basement. But you can have it somewhere where it's actually inside.
Excellent. And do you have any particular message you want to leave to our audience today?
I think we've covered really all the main messages. One thing, if people still think, how can I get fit in 2 20-second sprints?
Okay.
One important thing to remember, and this is true for any exercise, you just don't get fit during the exercise. You don't get fit during the workout. The workout just has to create a training stimulus, and then you get fitter, you get stronger in the recovery period after the workout. And that's what you have to achieve. And the REHIT on Carol Bike is really efficient to create that training stimulus. And then you get fitter and stronger in the recovery afterwards.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Ulrich, for all your wisdom, your insight. It was very interesting also to discover all the potential behind this bike. And I will leave all in the show notes your references and the link also to the discount code. And thank you very much, and have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.